Look, I won't take up too much of your time because I think everyone that's been before me has already said so many amazing things about the work of Colin Pake and Life PNG Care. So I don't want to repeat everything you probably already know, which is the reason why you're all here in this room tonight. But I did want to say one thing, because I did write a speech, but then everything I heard, I thought, oh, we're all hitting the same notes, so I'm not going to repeat everything. But one thing I wanted to stress was like a thought that crosses my mind a lot, and it's one of the things that I thought about when I stood for elections myself. Our Constitution promises a future of equality and opportunity for all, but for so many children, those promises remain unfulfilled. Now, as the adults we are today, we can look back and think to ourselves, we were once those children. We walked the beach of Ella Beach, we walked these streets, we saw other kids struggling, and we saw others succeeding, and nothing happened at that point in our lives. No one made any effort to change it for those kids then, so that we were all walking a similar path. I want to tell you about a few experiences that I've had. I volunteer a lot with a lot of different organizations, and I want to explain what it's like for children that are struggling in a city that is a city and a nation that so far is failing our children. When I volunteer at the Kids Cancer Ward at the hospital, do you know where these kids are recovering while they are recovering from extreme cancer? Their ward is right between where the Laloki mental institution patients have been put on one side of them, and to the other side is the morgue. These kids are recovering in a situation where there are people that's suffering from mental illness walking into their rooms, making a mess outside their windows, and then going back because they have problems. Right next to them, they're listening to people collecting the bodies of their loved ones, mourning. That's the hospital experience. Then when I volunteered out of Bamana prison, I was putting books in the library one day, and I'm working with some lovely young men, okay? Lovely guys. Wonderful personalities. They seemed so well educated. We had great conversations as we're putting these books away. And I went to speak to the commander afterwards, and I said, when some of these guys get out of prison, you got to tell me, let me know so I can give them a job. They're great. And he said, Sylvia, some of these guys are never getting out of prison. They're here for rape. They're here for murder. I said, that can't be. That can't be the guys that I was with. He said, this is maximum security. Because most of these kids come in here, they've spent an entire life born on the streets, packed full of drugs, fed alcohol, and by the time they get there, they've done something so extremely bad, they can never turn back. But what happens when they get to prison? When they're sitting in prison, it is the first time in these children's lives, in this city, that they get health care. They get food every day. They get a safe roof over their heads. What kind of society do we have that this is their first experience of security and love and education? The other week, I'm downtown, and I'm walking across, I've run some errands, and this little boy, he's sleeping on the side of the road. So I go to shake him. I think to myself, I'll just give him some coins. He looks like he's tired. He looks like he's hungry. I had this memory flood back to me from when my dad had the exact same experience 30 odd years ago on that exact same street. Sees a little boy lying on the sidewalk. He goes and runs errands. He's done that for hours. He comes back and he says, this boy is still lying here. He goes and shakes him. The boy won't wake up. He shakes him again and he realizes, this boy is dead. He died right there, with hundreds, maybe thousands of people walking past all day. That is how much our children's lives are worth. And we're all part of those crowds. We turn a blind eye, we walk past. We don't do enough. Yes, the system is broken, but when we have opportunities with organizations like Life PNG Care, like with Colin, it is a glimmer of hope. It shows us that we can do something to change things for the better for all of our children, The Constitution wasn't written for those that can afford to read it. The Constitution was written for every man, woman, and child of our nation. And I love organizations like Colin's that is actually delivering. And all of you filling this room tonight, it gives me hope that so many people out there are willing to put a little bit in that'll make a huge difference in the lives of all our children. So I wanted to leave you with that. I wanted to thank you all again. I hope you take away something that I've said tonight and tell people about it, because we need more people doing things like this. And take the opportunity, if you haven't already met Colin yourself, have the conversation with him. Because perhaps you can do something on your street, perhaps you can do something for a school near you in your neighborhood that could absolutely make all the difference for the future of our country. Our children are the only real legacy of this nation. If we help them today, we all have a better future. If we ignore them, we keep going down the same path, creating the same cycles of poverty and despair. So I want to thank you all. I want to encourage you all to get more involved, bring more people to the table with you next year, keep supporting Colin, and think about what you can do in your own corners, in your business, in your street, within your family to help others in our city. Thank you very much.